Okay, welcome to the Board of Park Commissioners meeting for Tuesday, September 7th. Please call the roll.
Mr. Cappers.
Here.
Mr. Emmerich.
Here.
Mrs. Westfall.
Here.
Okay, we have our minutes of our August 5 meeting. Are there any additions, corrections, or deletions to those minutes?
None here.
None here.
I'll entertain a motion to approve those minutes then.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second that.
Motion and second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? They stand approved. Okay, Mr. Drake, good afternoon. Do you have anything to add to your report, sir?
Good afternoon. Just a couple things. One, I know I'd sent an email out, and we got some newspaper coverage with Matt Williams and the volunteers at the
that's
skate
very
park.
nice.
I continue to be just really, really thankful for that whole group, and just a real grassroots effort to improve our skate park and really have improved the whole image and the feel for the kids at the park. So just want to thank them once again. And he is in the works right now planning another fundraiser event for the park. All that money will go back into additional improvements. But right now, tentatively, September 25th. So as soon as I have those details, I'll be forwarding those to Mrs. Knight and to you guys as well. Just a free skate jam event like he did 2 years ago prior to COVID. That was well attended, and monies were raised then, and so it'll be something kind of similar to that with raffles and door prizes and kind of a friendly skating competition kind of a thing there. So thankful for that. And then we also started to haul dirt into the park today, like we had talked about for the BMX pump track. So
Awesome.
that's kind of in the works. Met with Donnie Knight on site today as we started to haul the dirt in, and so you'll see that being kind of stockpiled until we get the designer in and come out with the final design on site and start to put that into place. So other than that, crews have continued to be extremely busy. The grass hasn't slowed at all. We've got tree work that we're trying to get worked in as well. And then an extremely busy weekend coming up this weekend, obviously, with the 9/11 exhibit coming in Thursday. So we've got quite a few different pieces of setup through the weekend for that, but really looking forward to having that here as well. So
There's a lot of publicity right now about army worms. Have our
Yeah.
parks been hurt? at
yeah,
all?
no, actually, luckily so far, we've not seen a lot of that in our parks, actually any that I'm aware of in any of our parks. But that has been a huge problem kind of all over the country
I've got
here
them in my yard.
lately.
Yeah, I do.
So yeah, a lot of people do. I've received a lot of calls, people kind of wanting some consultation on what to do and that kind of a thing. But we haven't seen any that I'm aware of in our park. So
Good.
thankful for that.
Good, good. Any other questions of Mr. Drake?
I'm just curious on the status of Duke Park finishing along what used to be the fence line.
Yeah.
What's
So,
timeline?
I'm not sure where they are. The contractor's not been out, for about a week and a half now doing the sidewalk, or the curbing, and then the sidewalk to come next. So, I'm not sure exactly what that timeline will be. And then from the north of the park entrance north, this phase that's going in now won't have the curbing. So there'll just be a drainage ditch and a swale there. Then from the park entrance to the south, we'll all have curbing and then just kind of graded off, sloping down toward the park. So, but as far as the actual timeline, I couldn't tell you.
The park entrance north, are you confident that we're not going to have cars lined up on the roadway?
We
watching
are
the soccer
going
games?
to sign that heavily all along there, each of those poles that's along there for no parking in the grass, so that we'll enforce it just like we had prior. Even when the fence was there was still that space between the fence and the road that they could park. So we had to enforce it then, and we're able to do that without any signage, so we're confident. I feel like with proper signage, we'll be able to continue to enforce that, even without
they're
the
doing it
fence.
now, but there's no signage because we
Yeah,
were out there.
right.
Like,
Yeah.
because people aren't sure where
They're parking
they're
all
supposed
over
to-
the place right
Right.
now. I've had some complaints, and we called Miami Dispatch the other night to have a truck removed from, I think it was Little League football practice probably, parked out kind of in the middle of the park. So obviously we want to curb that, but through the construction, it's been kind of tough.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of, it's just kind of been a mess. So
Yeah.
we're working, we'll get there as soon as they finally get that wrapped up.
Yeah.
With the stuff we've got going on in the skate park, are you putting any more money in the budget for improving that?
We are, yeah, we will, it's in the 5-year CIP as we move forward to try to get more monies set aside for that, for both the plaza itself and then eventually the, more on the pump track side.
Good.
Okay.
And when you say pump track, what does the pump stand for?
Yeah, so actually, if you Google it, you could actually Google or YouTube BMX or even mountain bike pump track. So the idea is it starts kind of at a higher elevation, and as you drop into the hills and ramps, you
Pump
can
your
actually
tires. Pump your
use your
pedals.
momentum and not have to
Gotcha.
pedal.
Yeah.
And you actually pump over
Yeah.
the hills and
Yeah.
gain speed, and then there'll be some banked turns that they go through and don't even have to pedal to get through.
Gotcha.
So,
Some people.
yeah, if you know what you're doing, I guess, get the hang of it, you won't have to pedal.
Some people make it look really easy when you watch those videos.
Okay, well, thank you.
And I had just another question for you, or just something to think about. A couple people have approached me about Menke Park, that when people have parties or different things there, people are running out of parking spaces there.
Okay.
That a couple of the neighbors said it's used a lot more than people think, and that, you know, you have a big birthday party or something, and then there's no parking, people are parking in the
Okay.
grass, and,
Yeah.
and maybe think about enlarging that parking area,
Okay.
because there is a lot
Yeah.
of space there.
Sure.
That we
Okay.
could enlarge it. And then the mountain bike trails, they said they're kind of getting overgrown, so and I know that's a
Yeah.
constant issue, but.
Yeah.
Let me ask you, but, I'm sorry.
Sure.
Let me ask you about that first point you just made. When I go through the Hobart Preserve, there's a sign about bathroom facilities being available in Menke Park. Maybe you can contact Scott Myers, and maybe we can also post signage indicating additional parking in
Yeah.
the Hobart Urban Nature Preserve.
That's a good point. And actually, that's just as close probably to that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so-
it is.
And we talked about, actually, because they kind of made an unofficial walkway, I mean, I'm kind of guilty of that too,
Yeah.
walking between them. We
Sure.
talked about maybe just
Right.
clearing something
Yeah.
out officially, or, you
Yeah.
know, putting
Well, I
something
could
there.
definitely, I'll follow up with, like you said, Miami County Park District and see if we can kind of both benefit
Exactly.
off each other. So I
Yeah.
can look into that for sure. Yeah, thank you for bringing that up. So there's some of those things you don't realize or don't see through the week, and unless you're there on
Right.
the weekend.
Right.
Menke
Don't
Park's
know
one of
how
our most used
much.
parks.
Yeah, yeah, very popular.
Okay, good. Any other
Okay.
points, any other questions?
No.
All right, thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Hi, Ken.
Hello.
Do you have anything to add to your report, sir?
I just wanted to make mention, and this involves primarily the park department, but this past weekend was the last weekend of the tents, floating tents, and Matt with the park department did a heck of a job this summer with that. I know he involved a lot of his time and efforts in conjunction with Carrie over in our department, but just really heard a lot of positive feedback throughout the summer related to him and dealing with people that came from multiple states to do that. So just a good opportunity for us to promote our city and downtown and local restaurants and all that type of thing. So that was a good positive thing this year. I think really took off and expanded from what the dates were that we had held the past couple summers. We closed the pool down a couple weeks ago, and we're in the process of just kind of winterizing that and getting that ready to go for the winter. Had a really good season, matched up really pretty closely to what we had in 2019, which was a really good summer for us. I think we benefited from some other local pools who maybe weren't open, or also, as you may have read, many pools struggled with staffing. And fortunately for us, with the involvement that Carrie has year-round, recruiting and training guards, we didn't experience that quite like some of the other pools and facilities did. So I think that really helped us this year in terms of just being able to maintain normal full hours, where a lot of facilities had to maybe cut back hours, either, close at 5 o'clock or maybe open later, or just had to kind of adjust on the fly based on available scheduling of staff. So had a really good summer, and we're also now in the process of putting down the ice for our fall and winter season, and that'll be starting next Monday. Our ice will start. So that's really about it.
Any questions of Mr. Seiler? I see you've got Pat Benatar coming up. Are you going to hit her with your best shot?
I will do my best.
You guys aren't so old that you got that, okay, well, you got that, all right, okay. Kyler's not here. I did talk to Kyler on the phone, however, and he wants to go ahead and send the park board his appreciation to the park department for helping him out with his tree removals, I think it was, on the golf course, so, good job, cooperation between the departments. I've got no planning commission report, that affects the park department, although tomorrow's meeting will be a big one. Any other new business? Sue Knight, do you have anything to come before the commission today?
Only to hope that you do attend some of the festivities and activities over this coming weekend downtown. There will be a lot going on.
Yes, there will be.
You will be there.
Okay. Anybody else want to address the park board?
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Would you come up here to the microphone, please, and identify yourself and your address?
Ryan Leach, the golf course. First, Jeremy, thank you. That's the first thing I want to say, is we had several $1,000s worth of work if we had to outsource it to not drop these trees for a future site for a barn that was approved. So Jeremy, thank you. That was a big help, and all those that did help. Side note, we still could see, we had a small spot of armyworm near those trees that got cut down, but it got tore up when we were cleaning it up anyway, so it's irrelevant. But the point is there could be a second generation of armyworm here later in the fall as the first generation start laying their eggs. So
You spray insecticide on the golf course,
Yeah.
right? Are you using the same insecticide that would kill those armyworms?
I did in the
if they're
fall, or I did in the spring,
there? Okay,
but I followed it up with an emergency, what I call an emergency spray,
yeah.
last week, just to make sure there was nothing that was gonna pop up overnight that.
And my understanding, if you did have armyworms and you sprayed them to get rid of them, the turf will come back. Is that
Generally, yeah, they cut it off fairly high on the blade, so a lot of times it will come back. But it does a lot of damage really fast.
Yeah.
And they're not from, the armyworm that we're seeing isn't from around here anyway, so, they're coming from the south. The moths fly up on the jet stream, lay eggs. Armyworms hatch, go to town, lay a second generation, and if it doesn't get too cold, but anyway,
Sure.
that was a side note.
Okay.
And then, I had sent some correspondence, if there was any questions, here, outside of here, whatever you want to talk, I'm available for that. And,
And concerning that correspondence, I want you to let you know that we have received that, and that I talked to Kyler at length about that in the budget process, and I think he's taking that to heart.
okay, that's good. And then,
I'm surprised he didn't talk to you about it.
not really, I mean, he did briefly that the simulators were mentioned, but that was about
Yeah.
it.
Okay.
And then, there's one thing else, and I can't think of it, but if I think of it, I'll let you know.
Appreciate it. Any questions of him? Thank you very much for your work out there.
Thanks, Ryan.
Anybody else for anything? Abby, you want to say anything? Okay, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Okay, we stand adjourned. Thank you for your attendance.